Playmates has the Star Trek license back.
I'm a huge Playmates Star Trek fan.
Okay.
And I love that McFarlane had them for a while and a few others had them for a while, but the fact they're coming home feels right.
All right, so our main topic for today's episode is, are pre-orders killing the toy hunt?
I gotta say, yes and no.
Pegwarmers is the code name for toys and collectibles with high supply and low demand. Join Kevin and his team of collector commandos as they discuss popular and not so popular retro and current toy brands.
Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike the Bro Show Bro.
And we're here to talk about toys.
We are? Toys?
We are.
Are those plastic things or plush things or both?
It could be both.
It could be both. Okay.
So our news topic for today is Playmates has the Star Trek license back.
Beam me up to the toys, guys. Seriously, this is great news to me. I'm a huge Playmates Star Trek fan.
Okay.
And I love that McFarlane had them for a while and a few others had them for a while, but the fact they're coming home feels right. Playmates did that whole great line back in the late 90s.
A lot of figures.
They did so many. They had the 1701 weird collection thing too, but I got quite a bit. But they also gave us like a bridge play set for the next generation. They gave us the original crew in one box set, like a really great box set. And their likenesses were, let's be honest, for their 5.5 inch scale, dead on.
Yeah, they did a really good job of sculpting those before, I'd say before actor likeness was so prevalent in toys.
Right. Oh my God, they were amazing. I think one of the best ones was either Worf with his like face, but also they really did like the best Kirk. I still have never seen anything as good as the Kirk they've done.
Okay.
Like classic Kirk.
Yeah.
With them getting licensed now, we could see them do like the J.J. Abrams Star Trek potentially.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they'll go that direction or not. So basically the article I found online said that they made a deal with Viacom CBS for the licensing rights to create action figures, vehicles, ships, role-play items, and other toy categories for Star Trek. The new toy line will be available next year following the premiere of Star Trek Prodigy.
Yep.
And it says that they're thinking about featuring authentic portrait sculpting from Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Lower Decks, Star Trek Picard, Prodigy, and other Star Trek series. So
yeah,
maybe.
that's great. I mean, they've got so many different series running right now over the next 3-4 years at this point, it seems like. You've got Picard, which is Jean-Luc Picard, of course, and it's a great show. A little out there, but really good still. I like it. You've got Lower Decks, which is a great comedic cartoon, really cartoony thing, but canon, which is beautiful. I just love it. I don't know why.
So do you think they would make live action looking versions of those characters?
I hope
or do
not.
a cartoony?
I think they should do cartoony for that series.
I feel like that's such a weird divide for Star Wars toys even. You know, they've
Right.
done like Clone Wars series toys, and then they've done toys where it looks like a Clone Wars guy or a Rebels guy or whatever, but as if they had been in a movie.
Right.
And that becomes like a weird thing, because do you want to collect the cartoony figures,
Version,
or do you
or-
want them in the like real world universe to match all the rest of the toys?
I think if they do any kind of real world one, they want to do as close as they can to the actual voice actors for a lot of these characters in Star Trek Lower Decks, because they look a lot like their characters.
Okay.
So I think that would be a way to go if they
That'd be
did
kinda
it.
interesting.
That'd be kind of fun. But then you also have Star Trek Discovery, which is, you know, their brand new kind of flagship show, which is really great, but they've gone so many different directions each season. Now they're staying in one time period for the season, so I'd love to see that. What I really want to see are the ships, too.
Yeah.
I really want to see the ships, and Star Trek Prodigy is going to be a CGI series. Completely different animated series look than what Lower Decks is. So again, do you go, like you said, do you want to go live action or not? And one of the main characters is Janeway.
Okay.
It's Janeway before she became a captain. So again, which way do you go? You could do a Kate Mulgrew actual figure. You already have her likeness from the old Playmates line, you know, go like that. And if they're having it, are they going to do a retro line based on the old Playmate style? Now, granted, their arms were fine for the most part, but their legs, really bad articulation. They can never sit right.
It would be nice if they, even if they were more articulated and if they sort of fit in with them, I think, for collectors. Because that was one of the problems with the J.J. Abrams toys. They made multiple scales, but none of them looked like Playmate Star Trek toys.
Right, and it was very hard to get the entire crew in one scale or the other.
Right.
It really was, and I didn't like that. You did get a bridge play set, but it was for 4-inch scale figures.
And you needed all the figures, because it was a shell. It didn't have any components in it, because you got each guy's like seat with their figure.
Exactly, and then you got the box set, which was literally just like a floor.
A playmat.
Yeah, and a screen. and that was it. So
I didn't really like that. I get what they were going for. It's very collect and connect, build a figure model, but it made the bridge playset really bland.
right.
And then if you got that and one figure as a kid, you have this empty thing. Whereas like if you had a full playset
Yep.
and you only had one Star Trek figure so far, well, you could shove other figures in there and pretend they were
Who you wanted them to be.
Like, you know, they didn't make Alfred figures very often for Batman, but like,
Right.
you could find a toy and pretend it was Alfred for a scene or a bad guy for Batman to catch or whatever.
Exactly.
And the same thing with Star Trek. You could put other guys in it. But
And
if
it would actually work because it's Star Trek.
if
They're
it's
aliens.
just empty, though,
Yeah.
what do you do with it?
I don't know. I still go back to the whole fact that their legs just didn't work very well.
Yeah.
And they couldn't sit in their chairs very well, especially the shuttlecraft that they came out with. But we got things that you wouldn't normally get in a toy line. You got the playset, you got the shuttles, you got the original Star Trek series shuttle, you got a Next Generation shuttle, you even got a shuttle from Deep Space Nine, which, again, why would you get that? But you did. And then their ships themselves, you even got the DS9 playset.
Right.
Those are really highly detailed, almost model quality. You could have shot those as part of the TV show, and they would have looked great. So I hope we get something like that if Playmates is getting them back. And we're getting something that's not only collector friendly, but also maybe out in stores more so people can give for their kids, anything like that. I think Prodigy is going to be the big push for that. I think that's because it's on Nickelodeon. It's not going to be streaming service necessarily.
Gotcha.
It's going to be also on Nickelodeon and made for kids specifically to teach them science more than anything else, which
okay.
is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that. Going back to the roots, but for kids.
The next segment we have is new to the collection.
Oh, yes. Well, you want to go first? Or
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Mine is just like something I ordered online and it finally got here. So yeah, we just talking about Star Trek, but I've got some Kenner-inspired Star Wars figures here. I bought the Retro Collection Mandalorian figures
Nice.
forever ago.
Yeah.
And then I thought maybe they weren't going to produce them all because we had the whole Cara Dune situation.
Yeah.
And I was like, if they ship me the rest of this wave and not her, I'm going to be kind of annoyed. I love Kenner-style Star Wars figures. I mean, I just played with them so much as a kid. I know they're hokey, but I love them. So I want these guys. Like, I'm taking them out of the package. They're going to go on my shelf with my Kenner guys. So
they're solidly made, too. They're really solidly made.
Cara. We've got Moff Gideon with his dark gray lightsaber in there. I do like that it looks
the dark
just
saber, yeah.
like, it looks just like the
Like a
lightsaber
Kenner toy
that
would.
Obi-Wan
Right.
or Bespin Luke came with. We've got definitely the Pegwarmer of the group. Carl Weathers here. I'm sorry, I just don't see kids, dying to get this one.
You know
These
why?
don't stand well, do they?
No, they want to, but then they don't. That's okay. I'll hold a couple here.
I got Baby
Carl Weathers.
Yoda. I mean, obviously, he's the one that's going to sell the best.
What I love about that Baby Yoda is it's actually more to scale with the vintage line that they're trying to do. That's more articulated. and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
I think it looks better with it. And it's just bigger and it's a little bit cuter.
I bought 2 of him because I'm going to keep one of those carded. Let's face it, part of the merchandising machine. Quill,
I have spoken.
I have spoken.
You have spoken.
IG-11, who is amazing.
He's the best babysitter ever. Let's be honest.
I wish you could clip Baby Yoda on him. That'd be great.
He came with a vest or something.
Yeah,
could do-
like the old survival kit that had
yeah,
the Yoda backpack.
exactly. Throw it right on there.
And then Mando, which I'm starting to get annoyed. Disney, at what point are you going to let Hasbro make him in the Beskar armor? Because, he doesn't wear this for long, but
It's
this
like
is
one
the
episode.
most common toy. Come on, let's move on.
In the vintage line, you've got him in both armors, but
Right.
not in the retro line yet. Yet being the operative word. You watch it, it's going to be some kind of weird convention exclusive, and you can only get it that way. And it comes with Baby Yoda in the first version of its carrier or
Maybe
whatever.
we can get him and Bill Burr and a few other people for a wave too. That'd be great. I mean,
Oh, Bill Burr would be great.
IG-11 though, I love this because IG-88 was an awesome figure.
Right.
He's one of those characters. So I had a conversation recently with another person who was about your imagination as a kid and how you take the toys and you do a whole adventure that isn't from the movies.
Right.
And so my friends and I, my buddy Derek and I, were kids. We played Star Wars all the time, and we would always do these crazy adventures with the bounty hunters because they were these interesting characters you knew nothing about. So you could just do anything you wanted with them. And we used IG-88 a lot for that.
Well, yeah, he's a droid. Now, the question is, if you go back to that, 4-LOM and
Zuckuss?
Yeah, Zuckuss. Did you get their names right as a kid or no?
Oh, I had no idea. How would you know?
I know.
The name on the box is his name, and I still will always refer to Zuckuss as the robot and
right.
Forlam as the brown one. I don't care whether somebody messed it up at Kenner. That's their names. Just like Ponda Bamba is really named Walrus Man.
He is Walrus Man.
Whatever
let's be
Kenner
honest.
says is gospel.
Oh man, I just love the 5 points of articulation. I really do.
You know, when in between cashing
That's just
royalties
cool.
checks, maybe Lucas should have looked over the stuff Kenner was doing if he didn't like it so much. You know?
Yeah, no, these
They
are
were
just
screwing it up left, right. These are great.
yeah.
I do really like them.
Oh, I'm just realizing his cape is like the old
Yes, they did the vinyl capes.
cape.
Yep.
That's cool. I wonder if you pull it off, it's like the little circles
Oh,
on
I'm
there.
sure. I'm sure.
That's great.
And even some of the sculpting details, you know, it almost looks like part reusage. Like these arms almost look like they're from Nine Nub.
Yeah.
like it's very similar just in the styling.
Well, then that would be really short arms. They really need to do a Sylvester Stallone figure, though.
Yeah.
Somehow in the retro line, just randomly so you can stand him next to him.
It could be his character from Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
That's
There you
right.
go.
Disney.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That could absolutely work. That's great.
So I also would really love it if they would do some retro Kenner vehicles.
Yes.
I mean, because they could totally do the TIE Fighter.
Yep.
And they could totally do an X-Wing if they wanted to, and put back in the guy from Kim's Convenience.
Yep. They
You
could
know.
easily do it and then sell them and retro the inside too a little bit to be for the newer line as
Yeah.
well, for the more vintage line and whatnot, more detailed.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
So that's what's new to my collection. Let me put this on the floor so I make some noise here.
I'll pull up mine, and as of this taping, I literally picked these up today. So I actually picked up the new Snake Eyes movie figures. I actually found these on the pegs, one of each, at least these three. Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes with Henry Golding's head there, so you can't unmask Snake Eyes. I'm still not sure how I feel about that. Not for the character himself, but just unmasking Snake Eyes. That kind of takes away the mystery. I get where they're going, though.
With an origin story, you have to show them
Yeah.
without the mask, though.
But I was happy to find the Baroness action figure, these are all spot-on likenesses of the characters with the way they're doing sculpting now. It's amazing. I did want to note, though, that when you find her, don't look for her glasses on her face. They are packaged in there, but they're not on her face. I think because they didn't want to put a rubber band on there
Have 'em
and damage the hair
float
or
around in
anything.
the package and look goofy.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think they look really great. I can't wait to get these home a little bit later and actually open them up and play with them a little bit, pose them. I've been seeing some great toy photography with these online. Definitely check out a few of those because I think there are some great photographers out there. I want to know the story now between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. What's Storm Shadow's connection? And the most recent trailer that I saw, they now refer to this character as Storm Shadow. He actually says, "Call me Storm Shadow." I'm like, okay, what happened? Why is he doing that? Because it's towards an offer from the Baroness. That's all we know.
And she, in one of the trailers, she refers to Snake Eyes as Snake Eyes.
Right, but you never hear his name or anything.
Right. They're calling him Fish Boy. So, I mean, they're obviously keeping a lot of the story kind of quiet.
Right.
But it is interesting that it seems like these are nicknames that they have early on in their lives, whereas in the comic book storyline, like Stalker tells the story of their Vietnam days because
Right.
obviously Snake Eyes can't. But, he always refers to Storm Shadow as Tommy when he's telling
The story,
war
but
stories,
never.
but never Snake Eyes.
Yep.
But that's because Snake Eyes is part of their classified team that he's
Right.
talking to. He's always telling another Joe about it, Philly Scarletin or somebody else.
Exactly. And I also love that we have new artwork for each character on the side corner here, but on the back, it's just basically a poster for the movie.
Yeah.
On all of them, it's the same, but you get new artwork on the side here, which is what they've been doing for the classified line, which some people like. Some of the people are like, I don't like that. I want the classic Joe scaling. What would you prefer?
I mean, it's a new line. I'm not beholden to old packaging for
Right.
new toys. I do think this is a wasted opportunity, though,
For a file card or something.
or just to sell the toy. Mm-hmm. Like, another example, Hasbro's Lightning Collection for the Power Rangers. They have a really cool toy photography picture on the back of each one of the toys.
Right.
And to me, that's better use than the same artwork. Like, these are all
The same artwork.
Snake Eyes, right? So
Right.
if you're going to do a unique painting for each character, that's neat. Otherwise, take a photo of the toy and put it on there because
Yep.
it's another chance for a kid to go, oh, look at how he can pose. Oh, look at how his accessories work. Like, that helps sell the toy to a kid.
And like, your Star Wars figures here, it's just a lot of words. It's not just like pictures of the classic line or anything of this retro line. One thing I really like about the Marvel Legends line, now granted they're all kind of Build-A-Figures, you have a picture of at least a small one of each figure in that particular wave, so you can have a little checklist of what you need to get in that wave.
Yep.
This here, you've got 3 out of the 5 figures that are in that line, but looking at the back of this, looking at the packaging, what's the other figures in this line?
Yeah, and you get the numbers, right, to help collectors, but you have 16, 17, and 19 here.
Right.
If I were a kid, I'd be going insane. Who is number 18?
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't even have a text list on the back that says, like, what the numbers mean.
Right. So, I don't know, but I had to get them. They were staring at me. I'm like, yeah, let's add them to the collection.
Mine are coming in the mail at some point, so
I want to get, Scarlet's going to be the next one I want to try and find, and I forget who the other one is, but I got to get these, so just because classified line, I got to complete it somehow.
Yeah, I pre-ordered mine. I unfortunately, I'm like pre-ordering everything these days. It's
just, we might be talking about that in a minute.
Might be talking about that later.
Yeah.
So our namesake is Pegwarmers, and Mike has brought some Mega Constructs figures with him.
Yeah.
So you're telling me these things don't always sell well?
Sometimes they don't seem to sell well, or they'll sit there for like months on end, and all of a sudden they're kind of gone. And
I remember the Mega Constructs Wind Raider.
Yes.
Being dirt cheap. I bought like 2 of them for like $5.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Mega
It's a
Constructs,
great set.
they're a great toy line. They work with your Lego line, but I love the figures themselves because they are, now granted, they're a little bit taller than Lego figures, but they look like mini action figures that are super posable. They're really detailed.
They are super fun. I would have just gone crazy for these as a kid because they are posable and they have accessories, and it's just, they're super detailed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just a face on a cylinder. And I love Lego and was obsessed with it as a kid, but this would have blown my mind.
And they have their own like kid series of Mega Constructs and everything, but this was geared kind of towards collectors and whatnot. And if you don't have a lot of space for your collection or anything, you can easily fit these. So, a lot of collectors are getting the 1s or 2s that they needed, but then the others just sat. Like He-Man here or Skeletor in the original kind of Mega Constructs Heroes line. They sat there for a while. One of my personal favorites was actually the Aliens line. They did the Aliens themselves and even a Colonial Marine. Now, the Colonial Marine did not sell. Now, if you try to go find it, you're looking at, quite a bit of money online just to get one, which is insane to me.
The one thing I am not a huge fan of with this line is there's just too many repaints.
Yeah.
I like repaints when they make sense. So if you want to repaint He-Man and give me Faker, cool. If you want to repaint Beastman and give me Mossman, cool. If you want to repaint them and give me a weird foreign release
He-Man with darker...
But, here we have He-Man with 2 shades of yellow. I think I have... I literally saw this at the store the other day and was like, I know I have a couple He-Men, and I think I have at least 1 Beastman. I'm like, I just don't think I'm going to do it.
Right, you don't need it necessarily.
Yeah.
They also have these little mini sets that have, little mini vehicles and whatnot, and different colors. Now, they had, a trap jaw that's like a lime green.
Right.
But I don't need it necessarily.
I don't need it. Yeah, there are certain ones that they put in those sets though that are specifically callbacks to old comics or the cartoon, and that at least is interesting to me.
Right.
It's more interesting than just we just changed the color. You might be able to argue that this is the comic coloring of He-Man or something, but it's just a slightly different shade of yellow.
Well, it's and then you go a little bit later into the series, and then they did things like X-Files.
They did a lot of brands.
They did, and then they didn't sell in the store, or they didn't sell online, and then in the places where, I got this one at Five Below for $3. So I got a couple molders.
I was buying up Scareglows at Five Below like crazy.
I never got a Scareglow.
Oh, I have one for you if you need
one.
One.
All right. We'll have to work that out after the show.
Yeah. No, I bought 6 of them because he's one of my favorite Mo2 guys. He's actually on the cross-sell on the back of this one.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the oddest things. So the cross-sell for these lines was multiple brands.
Right.
So you have Stratos and Scareglow from He-Man. You've got an X-Files guy.
Molder, yep.
You've got Comic Art Donatello.
Yep.
And you have, is it the T-1000 or what is that guy?
Which one?
That's an alien. Oh, that's the alien from Ghostbusters. I'm sorry. Or not Ghostbusters. No,
from X-Files. Yeah, he's all
said the wrong thing. At first I thought it was a liquid metal Terminator. But yeah, that was an odd thing in of itself that you would go in the store and the case was mixed brands.
Right. But it was each wave was a different kind of set. And you had to get a whole wave sometimes online just to get one figure. They made a data for Next Gen.
Okay.
I never got that one because it was super hard to find. You had to get like the wave online, not necessarily. But the other ones showed up in stores. And then after like 6 months, you know what? We're going to take them out of Walmart or Targets, whatever. You're going to Five Below, or you're going to TJ Maxx, or you're going to Marshall's at like, dirt cheap pricing.
Yeah.
And then they're gone. But it's like they just sat there and nobody bought them. So I ended up with a few here and there. Not too many.
I tried to just stick to the Masters of the Universe ones. Once it got to this point, because at first I was buying them when they were like cartoon-style Ninja Turtle sets at Toys R Us.
Oh, those are great.
I bought a bunch of those. I loved those. And I tried to stick to just the figures.
Yep.
I am kicking myself now for not getting the Technodrome, because it's amazing.
I have it.
I know you do. We talked about it back,
I know.
back when like Toys R Us was going out of business, about whether we could find one on clearance and things like that.
And I did. But anyway.
That line was amazing.
Yep.
Then they switched kind of from doing that to doing these waves.
Yep.
And now they sort of are focusing on He-Man a lot. Like there's actually He-Man like building sets again, like the Turtles had.
And then you also have like the Turtles themselves.
Yeah, they did the movie
individual ones,
or the comic versions as individual ones. Right.
Exactly. So again, I just sat there and I've sat on these for some time just because I got them and I'm like, I'm gonna have room to display them and everything. I still haven't made the room for them. At some point I will, but
you need a bunch of bricks to build like little tiers, little steps to put all the guys on.
Well, that's the best thing is if you want to put them up, they're going to be able to stay in place. They're not going to fall over.
And you can put them in poses on one foot, and every guy comes with a figure stand. It is nice the way they're designed.
And if you don't have a figure stand, you can, like you said, build the steps,
you just
put them up,
bricks.
done. So that's my kind of peg warmers that I've had for some time, and they sat there, and you can still go into like a Five Below and find them. Like you can even get like the Call of Duty sets and things like that. You can build a G.I. Joe team with all the Call of Duty stuff they've got. So, and then randomly you get minifigures that just hang out from time to time too.
Right.
So from Lego, so we have a little fun.
Cool.
Why didn't they do Alf though? Why didn't
they? Who is like in charge of merchandising this character?
It's out there because
you need to look into this.
I think I do because I want to say it's Sony has the rights to the movie and show.
I can't believe he doesn't have a Funko Pop yet.
Well, he did have a bobblehead from the very first...
From the early days of Funko.
And that's the only thing they've ever done.
Are you getting confused with our Chewbacca that's usually here?
No, he's right there.
Right
Yeah.
there?
No. I know Chewbacca. Chewbacca's more like... I can't do Chewbacca, but I can do Alf, so...
All right, so our main topic for today's episode is, are pre-orders killing the toy hunt?
I gotta say, yes and no. I think... Depending on the line itself. I think if it's a collector specific line, like a 1/12 scale figure line or something like that you're not going to normally find in a store, then absolutely it's not killing anything. It's good to get it online. Some of the statues and things like that.
Well, I mean, there were always collector lines that were online centric anyway, like the Matty Collector stuff with Motu Classics. That I don't think pre-orders can kill it because it was made to sell that way.
Exactly.
But like your retail lines. So... you just found those Snake Eyes guys.
Right, and you have them on pre-order.
I already bought them. So when they hit retail, I'm going to be tempted to buy them, but I'm going to say, no, I'm going to wait till they get shipped to me. Or I'm going to buy them and cancel my pre-order.
Right, and
either way, I'm being a jerk in screwing up the
flow of the actual product.
Right, because either the place I pre-ordered it now has a set that isn't moving at the rate they thought.
Right.
Or... my local store is expecting in their square footage how many kids/collectors buy the stuff, and I'm opting not to because mine's getting shipped from California or whatever.
Exactly. Well, you have over the last 10 so years, you've had a lot of convention exclusives that have come out that end up in retail at some point, whether it be the exact same toy or something with a slightly different paint job. Do I want to get the convention exclusive that has the 2021 sticker on it, or can I get the exact same toy with a slightly different color tone to it? That in itself makes it tough because do I want to wait to get it in store, or is it going to be picked up by scalpers, or is it going to go online and miss out because it's going to go online and sold out in 2 minutes?
It always kind of kills me because usually the convention version is a little bit better than what hits retail, but a lot of times a big part of that is the packaging, and I don't care.
Right.
Like, the packaging is cool. I think it's really neat that it lit up and played sounds and stuff. But I take a lot of my stuff out of the package.
Right.
Because I want to play with it. I want to pose it. I want to put it on the shelf. And then it didn't matter that it came in a cool box that looked like an 80s collector's case.
Right.
But I paid a bunch of money for that collector's case that I don't want to throw out.
Right.
And once the retail version of the NECA Ninja Turtle or whatever comes out, it looks just like...
the actual exclusive version.
The exclusive one that I have that I took out of the package. And so that becomes a weird thing for me of like, I can skip the exclusive and hope it comes out at retail.
Right.
And then maybe it never does. So depending on when this comes out, basically like San Diego Comic-Con exclusives will be coming up in the near future.
Right.
And a lot of those things, especially this year, it's weird because they're just putting them online.
Right. There's nothing that's you can go to pick up necessarily
Right.
online or in place at the convention itself. It's going to be scaled down and whatnot again just this year. I mean, you also have your regular toy lines like He-Man, Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe. You pre-ordered a set online and you now have a guaranteed set in theory.
Right.
But what if it doesn't show up? What if it doesn't get to the place that you ordered it from and you, like I said, saw it on the shelf and you can buy it right then and there? Now that's clearing something off the pegs at the store, but are they going to get it back in the store? Are they getting a limited supply because they supplied all these online stores as well? That's where it's a little tricky, unfortunately.
And my favorite thing about finding the store, my favorite thing about finding the store is the excitement that
Yep.
there is that little endorphin rush of like, oh, I've been looking for this thing. Yes, it's here. But on top of that is I can go,
You can look at the
oh, the
paint job.
eyeballs are straight on
Yes.
this guy. Oh, he doesn't have
he has a
anything
mask on.
weird. But like it comes in the mail and you open it up and
Their
there's,
eyes are
like-
on their cheeks.
Yeah, or there's like there's like a weird scuff on it or something like that.
Or if you
Or-
order an Amazon exclusive and they throw a boxed item in an envelope and ship it.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate that. Sorry.
Walmart's been like folding the hang
yes.
tags on the cards back and shoving them into tiny boxes. I mean, that's rough if you're keeping it in the package.
Right, exactly. And do you wait for it to get to the store if it's an exclusive or something or whatnot? And sometimes you got to be at the store when they drop everything on the sales floor too. And that makes it tough because do you want to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning when they open or 7 o'clock or, 24-hour Walmart? Are you there at like 2 o'clock in the morning when they're dropping stuff on the floor? Again, do you want to do that and kind of stop a kid from buying the same toy that might make it cool for them? Or do you buy it and seem like you're kind of a not nice guy doing that?
I feel like toy distribution is so different than it used to be because when
yeah.
we were kids, they had different assortments within the weight. Like for the year, these are the 20 figures coming out.
Right.
And there would be different assortments. So when a case came in, they might get these, 10 figures out of that
Yep.
group or these 10 figures. But there was always figures on the peg for most toy lines.
Right. I think part of that was...
Now it's like they just get a case pack.
Yeah. I think a big part of it is because of online ordering. You have all these different warehouses, all online toy stores like Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, HasbroPulse.com, Maddie Creation.
Yeah,
It's
they're
their own thing now. NECA, Super 7, like all of those have their own online stores. And then you have all these smaller toy stores online that sell. Plus you have on eBay, people are selling things that they're buying like a case here, a case there and selling on eBay as well. That's taking away from what you could see in the stores itself. And Hasbro, let's say they're going to produce 10,000 of one figure wave. Mm-hmm. They might give 5,000 to all the major retail stores. That's so many, not as many on the pegs. And these other 5,000 are split up against 1,000 toy stores online. And it makes it harder to find. Those get marked up. It's really tough. Whereas back when we were kids, 80s, 90s, everything, all 10,000 would go to all the major market stores. And that's why they stayed on the pegs. When I was at KB Toys, they had that with like G.I. Joe. When I was at Toys R Us, same thing. F.A.O. Schwartz, Power of the Force just sat there forever. Oh my gosh. Those stayed on the pegs forever.
And that is probably where the lesson was learned and the marketing has shifted. But it feels like there should be a happy medium somewhere between the two of
Right.
like, we can't just have case packs of He-Man and Skeletor on the shelf. We need all the other characters also.
Exactly. You've got kids, you've got collectors like us on our phones, on our computers, waiting for things to go online for a pre-order at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday afternoon. We're working. We might have a real job. We can't do that. Kids are in school. They can't do it. But then you have some people like, I can order these now and then mark them up. And it just hurts the whole community on top of that. Whereas if you could find them in a store, everybody has an equal chance. In theory, they have an equal chance to be able to buy it, get it. Not just collectors like us, but kids and less scalpers having a chance to get it.
I don't know how a kid... I can't imagine a kid ever getting the Build-A-Figure. Because when I was a kid, I didn't get a toy every week.
Right.
Like, it would be like, birthday and Christmas, you'd get a bunch of stuff. And then, like, you'd save your allowance for a couple weeks to get something here and there or whatever. A case pack of Marvel Legends comes in.
Yeah.
And they're gone, except for the Pegwarmer.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maybe another case pack of that same wave comes in later.
Right.
For a kid to be able to have the money to get all 6, all 5, however many they do in the short period of time that those are available is like next to impossible.
Well, think about it too, the fact that when we were kids and whatnot, figures were $10 or less for like a 6-inch figure. Now you're spending $20. Yeah. And I know, kids are maybe getting a little bit more allowance than us, but unless they're like a TikTok kid or a YouTuber kid or something and making their own money, they're not going to be able to buy a case pack of figures, $120, $140 for 6-7 figures.
So my point is then, do those body parts just become annoying to a kid? Like, does every kid just go, here's that leg. Like, why couldn't I get accessories for this guy? Instead, I got a leg to some guy I'm never going to build. Do kids then build like weird combinations of all the...
They have like a Frankenstein Build-A-Figure. It's like Hulk with a Ultron arm or something like that.
Body part, because I collect Marvel Legends very sporadically.
Mm-hmm.
I've never gotten a complete wave of Marvel Legends, and I think I only ever got one wave of the DC Universe Classics where I got the whole thing because I actually wanted the Build-A-Figure. Like, I insisted on getting the Build-A-Figure.
Was it Apache Chief?
No, it was the Bane one.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So anyway, I always end up with like 1 or 2 body parts per wave. Like I had Witigo's chest and arm because I bought Mr. Sinister and Nightcrawler. That was the only ones I got out of that wave. So I always just give all those body parts to a toy store that I know. Like the owner of the toy store. I just give them to him, and so I see at conventions people selling like the random body parts for like $5. But like if you deal in that and you get enough in through collections, like you might be able to build those guys. So I just give them to him because what am I going to do with these? But I have thought a couple different times, like, I wonder if I could build some weird guy out of all these parts that I've given away over the years.
I think a lot of the sockets, like the bigger figures and whatnot, you could probably do something like that.
To some degree,
right, but not exact.
I think there's multiple styles of guys. Like, there's like a taller style, there's a thicker style, so it depends. Like, not every joint is universal, but they're somewhat universal.
The one kind of Build-A-Figure piece that drove me crazy, and I've only done it twice so far that I know of with Marvel Legends, is with Vulture and with the new Captain America with Falcon.
With the wings?
With the wings, and they both had wings, and you had to buy all 6-7 figures in a wave to be able to give Vulture his wings, to be able to give Captain America his wings. I'm like, that's tough. And I only now have 2, but now I have to complete the Falcon and Winter Soldier one, which is a wave of like 6 different figures from 3 different shows, and but I want the wings.
Yeah.
I did it with Vulture, but you got all the characters from the movie itself, the original Spider-Man Homecoming film, which worked out well. But still, to get parts of a character that is in the wave, no. But pre-ordering, if I had pre-ordered those, it would have been easier, but I would have missed out on the hunt of finding them in store. Now I'm on the hunt in the store for the other figures, which now includes Loki. So many versions of Loki. Anyway.
So I ran into Bruno and Mia the other day. They run MMPR Toys. It's a Power Rangers channel on YouTube. And they happen to live like near us. And I was talking to them, and they were saying about how the pre-orders are actually really killing their toy review videos on YouTube, which makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
That basically everyone pre-orders it when it's announced, and then when it comes in, nobody really cares what it comes with or how it moves because they've already bought it. And they're not. It used to be that you did a toy review so people could like go, oh yeah,
I want to get that.
Functions the way I want it to. It does what I want. It comes with all the stuff I want it to have. And now it's like, we got it too, you know. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I hadn't really thought about that. I mean, I know that like even with toy reviews that I used to do, if I could get it as soon as it hit, the video would obviously do better than if I got it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later. It was like, why bother doing a video on this toy? But I didn't think about the fact that as a whole, it's impacting that kind of thing. And I thought that was kind of interesting because, we are buying stuff now without knowing anything about it.
Without seeing it there. If you could pre-order something or get it before anybody else to do a review like that, absolutely. But if you're seeing it, everything from it, like the manufacturers putting up pictures of everything. Even digital renders are letting you know exactly what's in there. Super 7 does that a lot with their stuff and even have their videos that show everything already, their own produced videos, and you know exactly what you're getting prior to somebody doing a review.
The hard thing with that, I think, is that, the company is never going to show you the limitations and is never going to give you an opinion other than this is amazing.
Right.
And I get it that, people will always say, oh, well, the toy reviewers are all, saying it's good because they want to get
more toys. Yeah.
I get that aspect of it. But they at least look at it from the collector mindset.
Right.
And the digital renders get me sometimes, because sometimes they look really good and sometimes they look really bad, but oftentimes they just don't really look like the toy looks.
That you're going to actually get it.
Yeah.
They don't have the right sheen or the right look, or the joints are completely different.
The face is just taken from that one angle where it looks really good, and then the rest of it just is like, wait, what is this guy?
You don't see the shoulder joint that's really well hidden, and then you get it, and you're like, that's very blatant when they're posed this way, or something like that. So pre-orders definitely could hurt that in the long run for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's just a really odd, aspect, and obviously that isn't something the toy companies care about, and I don't even think the toy companies are happy that we've shifted to pre-order. I think that's just a side effect of COVID. I mean, people have been pre-ordering stuff for years,
right?
But I think it's really pushed a lot of people because distribution has been so bad, and people didn't want to be in stores. So I think a lot of people that held off and would rarely pre-order
now are
have
pre-ordering
shifted
more.
to, just pre-order everything,
right? And now you're seeing a lot of bare shelves for main toy lines in like Targets, Walmarts, wherever you go. It's just like, okay, even Hot Wheels cars, same thing. They're very bare for the most part, short of you're there right when they're restocking it.
Right.
Which is kind of sad. So is it hurting it? Yes and no, but more yes, I'd say.
Yeah, I definitely think it hurts the fun.
Yeah.
I can't quite figure out long term whether it's hurting the industry as far as product moving.
Right. I think we need a couple of years even to really learn that, and some hard sales numbers.
Yeah.
If we can ever get those from Hasbro and Mattel, hey, send them over to us. I'll be glad to look them over and analyze them and make sure to give you a proper analysis of your toys suck or your toys are great.
I mean, you have weird things like the Masters of the Universe Origins line, where at retail all we can find is He-Man and Skeletor, and then clearance items like the Sky Sled. But yet they are producing other products, and if you're not pre-ordering them, I don't know how anybody's getting them.
Right, exactly.
I'm not a huge wrestling guy, but I like that they're doing those crossover wrestling Masters of the Universe figures, and I would pick up a few here and there, but I've never seen any of them.
They're super hard to find.
Like, I think I saw the guy who was a tie-in to Stratos.
Oh, Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I've ever seen, and that's not one. Like, I want the 80s wrestlers. I want Sergeant Slaughter. I want Mr. T.
Yep.
I want Roddy Piper. I've never seen any of them in the stores. I've never seen Macho Man.
And once you see them at like a toy show where somebody's bought them, they pre-ordered them or they got them, they've skyrocketed in price from $15 to $60, $70. I saw Roddy at a recent show for like $90. I'm like, what the?
Those all feel like impulse buy toys to me.
Yeah,
They're
should be.
They're not the kind of thing that I am pre-ordering because I'm not a wrestling collector.
Right.
But they're the thing that if I saw it at the store, oh yeah, that's coming home with me.
Right.
But I've never seen them. And I feel like that Masters line is hurting because I think some of the other characters in it are impulse buys also, where somebody who's like marginally interested in toys, a dad or whoever is in that aisle and goes, oh my gosh, Roboto was my favorite. Oh, Trapjaw, that guy was the bomb. Like, I'm going to get this for my kid, or I'm going to get it for me, or whatever. But they're not in stores.
Right, exactly. That's the tough part about it. I want to see something in stores. I want to see pegs kind of full so that we can walk in and everybody gets a chance to buy a toy. Like, not just us, but I want to see... I'm a huge proponent that kids deserve toys, not just us collectors.
Right.
For every one of these turtles I might buy for myself, I want to see 3 in 3 kids' hands. Like, that's the way it should be, because toys are made for kids, not for us. That's the way it should be. Pre-ordering is hurting that more than anything else.
I would hope that pre-ordering would help that, though, but it doesn't seem like it is necessarily, because if all the collectors just pre-ordered their stuff, then the waves would be on the store shelf for kids. But it seems like we're pre-ordering more than ever, and the shelves are emptier than ever. I don't understand it.
We're pre-ordering more so that we can have more for our collection, and we do the 1 to open, 1 to leave sealed, and 1 just in case. A lot of us that do.
And you're hurting future generations too. Like, if kids don't get hooked on toys now, who's the next generation of collectors going to be to pass this along?
Exactly. They're buying a lot of digital items online for their video games and whatnot, like Fortnite and things like that. Those are the things they're collecting, but they're not a physical toy that gets them outside playing. Right. I'm not an expert on kids or anything. I'm just a big kid myself, but I'd rather see somebody out there playing as opposed to stuck on a screen all day. Not to say that we weren't as kids either, but still.
Yeah. Imaginative play is a very important part of child development.
Exactly.
So,
rock and roll.
All right, well, thanks for hanging on the peg with us for another episode of Pegwarmers.
I'm Mike Bro, The Bro Show. #JustBro. Do a good deed a day.
I'm Kevin. We'll see you next time.